Hello and welcome back to RamsTalkPodcast. And we're here today after Derby's fifth straight league win. Who saw that coming? Definitely not me. Definitely not any of us. After that horrible start to the season, 5 wins on the bounce, and what a time to do it as well. Blackburn's 150th anniversary. The fans packed the oh wait, no, they didn't. But it was a big game for them, and Derby turned up and did what we did to West Brom earlier in the season and ruined their big day. So joining me today to talk all through it, through Derby's very good win away from home, we firstly got Adam Titley. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good. Great to be talking after 5 wins in a row. I'd have thought that at the start of the season. It just seems to be them anniversary games. I wish we could play them on every week.
Yeah, I know. Teams seem to keep picking us. I think they might stop now with the way that we've been this season. And we've also got Jamie Page. How you doing, Jamie?
Yeah, what a time to be alive. Who is this Derby
Just
County
in general.
team? Yeah, what have they done? I mean, we all thought it wasn't possible. John Eustace told us, and he said, "Look, be patient. Results will come." And we've got 5 in a row. So yeah, happy days.
Absolutely. Happy days. I mean, Eustace was right, wasn't he? I don't think many of us believed it, especially not me, after some of the games earlier in the season. But Derby have completely turned around, Adam. I mean, got it written in front of me. 5 out of 5 wins now. Ironically, since Sondra Langus came back. How high is the ceiling for this Derby team?
I mean, it's interesting to look at, it? Because after the international break, I think we've got that tough festive period, 6 or 7 games, maybe. That's the lowest point in the podcast, I think, making that joke. I think we've got a difficult run in that festive period, in all seriousness, in that New Year time. So I'm hoping we can carry it on a couple more games, but it's looking tough, isn't it, after the international break? I think we've got 1 or 2 games, Watford and then Swansea, where maybe we can carry that on a little bit, at least try and remain unbeaten. But then after that, we've got Middlesbrough and a few other tough teams in there, Leicester, Millwall, who are doing well. And so it's going to be difficult, but it's nice that I've been able to make 5 wins in a row since, was it you said 2023, including cup competitions, and then
No, in the league as well. In the league.
The league as well, which, you know, that was a decent season for us. So hopefully, we'll see how long we can keep this unbeaten run going.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone over the age of 20 is confused about your comment there, Adam. I felt like Joe Ward putting that cross into Adjaman yesterday asking that question. But Jamie, the way we're playing at the minute is really positive, right? You know, that first half was exceptional. I guess same question to you. You know, how far can this Derby team go? No rush, mate. No.
I've lost you for just a second, but I think I'm all right now. I think I'm back. But it's hard to say. But I think what's important is if it stops and if we draw or if we lose a game, that we are able to bounce back. As Adam said there, we've got some tough games coming up over the festive period. So it's hard to kind of say that it will go on forever. But I think it's about reacting if we don't get a positive result in one of the next couple. But look, we'll enjoy the 5. We have to enjoy the 5. We're not looking over our shoulders anymore. We're now looking, up the league, which is very strange to do when we've not done that in the past. How many years?
Yes, certainly. And yeah, I was worried for a minute there, Jamie. I'm glad you came back. Question from Richard in the comments. How did Hilton do today? 1-0 win in the cup against a team in the division above for Hilton women. So that's 5 wins in a row for them as well. So, it's going well on all sides. But Jamie's right. We don't know how far this team can go now. We seem to have found a little bit of a run of form, but we've also found a bit of confidence as well. And let's talk about that first goal, Adam, because it was genuinely hilarious in the stands. Obviously, we were a few seats away from each other, and the ball goes out for the corner. The Derby fans start singing Morris again, allay, ahead of the corner. We've done it 2 games in a row. We couldn't do it 3 games in a row, could we? And it's a great ball from Callum Elder, whips it, puts it in the perfect position. And I've watched the replay. I couldn't work out at the time how Morris was so free. And the reason was because no one marked him. And he just kind of jogs from the back post, runs past a couple of Blackburn players who decided they didn't fancy it, and he nods it in. It's a great header. And again, it's another great set piece from Derby.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You know, we've relied on them quite a lot in the last couple of seasons, but I feel like this season we're even more dangerous in the air, considering that the forward line that we've got are very physical, good in the air, and that's proven with this season and the track record we've got from set pieces. And to score again from a corner in pretty similar fashion to the last two times that it's happened, with Morris almost in that front post area, is brilliant to see. I mean, Blackburn didn't mark him, didn't pick him up for that first goal, and thankfully they didn't, because that was a fantastic header. It just seemed to drop into the bottom corner, and brilliant ball in from Callum Elder, who I'm sure we'll get on to, but he was fantastic in that game, wasn't he? And yeah, it's great to see Derby relying on our strengths that we've got and playing to them in every game.
Well, that's it. And Jamie, a lot was made under Paul Warne about Derby's strength from set pieces. But at the time, that was all Derby had. All Derby had was those set pieces. We weren't scoring goals from open play. I remember there was a time when, I think it was like 50% of our goals were from set pieces, maybe even more than that. And we just couldn't do anything. Now Derby have got a bit of both. But how important is that, that ability at set pieces going to be throughout the season?
Well, it's going to be massive, isn't it? I think you look at that, and every time you put a good ball in the box, you've got a chance of scoring. And look at yesterday, that we had numerous balls that were put into good areas, and you've got players that will go and attack the ball. And I think you have to look at the deliveries as well from both sides. Obviously, we know what Joe Ward's all about. He's built a career out of doing that. But the left-hand side as well is really important, and Elder seems to be able to do it from that side as well. So, yeah, absolutely loving this team, and I think we need to be able to win games and be able to have more ways of scoring goals, and we seem to be doing that at the moment.
Well, we certainly do, and let's look at that second goal, Adam, because it didn't come too long after the first goal. I thought Derby completely controlled the first half and looked a really, really good side. I mean, there were times where I remember saying to my brother next to me, saying, the Blackburn fans made such a point when Eustace joined Derby about how bad Eustace's football were. And then we turned up at Ewood Park and we were playing like, 2010, 2011 Barcelona. Like, some of the passing was great. And you look at that second goal, the playing out from the back is brilliant. And Ibu and Clark play a lovely 1-2. They look down the line, finds Morris. His hold-up play is great, lays it off for Ward. And this is exactly why Patrick Agyemang is playing in that sort of left of striker position, because Ward puts that ball in. They're like 5'3" fullbacks stood on him. He jumps miles over him, powers a header in the top corner. I mean, we were right behind that, weren't we? And got a great view of the header into the top corner. And it was a really, really good Derby goal. I'd go as far as to say, football-wise, that's the best goal we've scored this season.
Yeah, it was. I think just before the goal, the passing play, it was just so comfortable during that game. And if Blackburn fans were saying that John Eustace football isn't very good, then I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like when it's very good. No, it was a brilliant build-up play to that goal. Ward's ball in, and Agyemang's header was brilliant as well. It was such a bullet header into the top corner. Like you said, we were right behind it, but it felt like we hadn't really gotten out of first gear. That was the game plan that we had. That was the way we were going to play, and it didn't feel like we were trying too hard to knock on the door of Blackburn Rovers. We know that their back line wasn't very tall and could be pressed physically, but the passing was brilliant throughout the pitch, from the back line to the forward line. And I think in years gone by, I've always questioned, can we play out the back? We've never really been able to master that style. I'm not saying that's the way that we're going to play in terms of playing football out of the back, but with Zetterstrom's kicking getting better, and having Dion Sanderson, who's very calm on the ball, obviously Langas coming in, who's made a massive difference in our run of form. It's really nice to see, and it breeds confidence further up the pitch, I think, as well, to allow Joe Ward to not worry about the defensive ability that he's got to do, as well as Callum Elder giving that freedom a little bit more to go forward and sort of move up and down the line. So yeah, it's really good to see, and I think the quality from us and the confidence going through is there and clear to see.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got a comment from CJ saying, Adam's starting his tash again. Give it up, mate.
The run of form started as the Tash started. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Every year it's always the Tash. No comments on Jamie's, probably because you can't see it at the moment.
Yeah,
He's
coming
not
through.
not just because he's operating at one frame per week at the moment on the right hand side of that picture. But Jamie, that second goal, like Adam was saying there, excellent football. Looking in the comments, we played some quick, nice football, and no one needed to do that more than Ebu Adams, right? That's been his big problem all season. He takes 50 minutes when he picks up the ball at his feet to make a decision, and he played some really nice balls throughout the game, but that one in particular was special. And I know you're a big fan of Joe Ward, Jamie. I mean, how good was that cross?
Yeah. I mean, look, we know, as I said before, that's Joe Ward's game. If he's got space to deliver a ball, he's going to do it. And he's made his career being able to do that. Obviously, the comparisons to Beckham, and to be fair, that one yesterday, I think David Beckham in his prime would have been happy with that one. But I was just amazed at the space that he had to actually be able to kind of roll the ball before then swinging his foot around it. But it's confidence as well, it's it's run of games, it's confidence, it's this team playing with each other, having a way of playing. And that's what we've seen through the last five. And hopefully it's what we see for the rest of the season, where we actually know how to play. We know what we want to do. And like I said before, it's, yes, we do want to get balls into the box, but can we also do some nice intricate play and kind of break the lines as well, that like we've done on occasions. There was a passage of play in midweek, which, almost led to a goal, which was nice one-touch, intricate stuff on the edge of the box. So, yeah, it's refreshing to see, and it's a million miles away from what we saw at the start of the season. We're actually being entertained. Yes, we're winning games. Don't get me wrong. That's the most entertaining thing. But we are playing good football, and I think that's vitally important.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, Jamie mentions there that start of the season, we didn't see much good football. We didn't actually see many completed passes, let alone, good passages of play. What is the reason for the turnaround?
I think everybody's pointed towards Andre Langas coming back into the team, and I'd probably agree and probably say on that the confidence he has in himself and how good he is defensively means that it gives the confidence to, I think, Clark and Sanderson either side of him, where Sanderson's probably better on the ball, Matt Clark's probably better in the air, but it gives them the confidence that they've got another player alongside them who's probably a better all-round player, in my opinion, who commands that back line. But what I'd also say is I think we've sort of fallen on the right midfield combination. I'm sure we'll get on to David Ozoh's injury, but it's actually surprised me how well Ozoh and Bobby Clark have done in that midfield pairing together. I think a lot of us said that Bobby Clark physically probably wouldn't be able to cope with playing in the midfield of the Championship solely in a two, but I think he's proved us all wrong with his technical ability on the ball means that he doesn't have to put himself about as much as what maybe a Lewis Travis or an Ebu Adams has to do because of his passing abilities, reading of the game. And David Ozoh, we know how good he can be. Obviously, he showed that last season. So I'd probably put it down to them two key points of probably Sondre Langas coming into the team and arguably is our best player in Derby County at the moment. And then also stumbling across that midfield pairing that we talk about it so much. What's the right balance in the midfield? And it's probably David Ozoh and Bobby Clark because of their quality. And it's clear that we need quality on the ball in the middle to be able to play in the way that we do.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned this quite a lot over the last few weeks, but I think we focus too much on physical strength and not on about what's up there. Because Bobby Clark is always in the right place. He gets his foot in. And it's not just the fact that he's in the right place. He is desperate to win that ball back. He's fighting for every ball. I mean, look at that cynical foul he made towards the end. He knew we were in a terrible position. And he worked so hard to get back, to drag the player down, to stop us getting hit on the break and potentially, drop points. I've been really, really impressed with him. But Jamie, it's disappointing, isn't it? David Ozoh, an injury magnet, has once again attracted another injury. It was right in front of us. It looked like either his quad or his groin, and I wasn't sure which one it was. But whatever it is, it depends on the severity of it, obviously, but he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. The man that came in, though, Ebu Adams, he's had a lot of criticism recently. I think he probably didn't have the start to the season that he wanted, but he was absolutely brilliant yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's one of his best games ever in a Derby County shirt. I
Yeah,
genuinely do
agree.
think that. I think he was absolutely everywhere. And look, with Ibu Adams, you expect him to be blood and thunder, and you expect him to cover every blade of grass. However, I think the stuff that he did that people have been criticising this season, he also did really well as well. The only thing I think he didn't do was when he actually first came on, there was a ball inside to I think Brereton Diaz or Morris, and he decided to go out to Agyemang instead. And I think that was actually the only mistake that he made. But maybe it was him just coming on and just proving a point. Potentially, sometimes that you put these players on the bench and look, they've all got. I know Adams is a fantastic man, but he has got an ego. Of course, he has. He will want to prove a point. He won't like sitting on a bench, and I think he came on and delivered an amazing performance. And if he can build on that, he will be a really good replacement for Ozoh whilst he gets himself fit. On that, he did look a bit gutted, didn't he? And I think sometimes players know if it's just like a bit of a strain or a bit of a pull, players aren't as visibly upset. But yeah, for me, I think that's got a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months written over it.
Yeah, you can tell. As a man who picked up a grade 1 hamstring injury in midweek, you can tell. You know straight away when it's going to be bad, don't you? And you know straight away, oh my God, I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks. But the good news is international break, isn't it? So he's got at least 2 weeks to get ahead. So hopefully he won't miss too many games and he'll be back for that Christmas run. But Adam, we talked about that midfield balance already, haven't we? And Ozoh and Clark seem to have struck that balance and really struck that chord in. And they were really working well together. Ibu and Clark did similar, especially in that first half. How do you think Derby need to set up that midfield now? Now, I'll give you my idea first. I think we need an out-and-out technician, ball player, dictator of the game, which is your Bobby Clark. And then I think you need someone maybe that breaks up the game a little bit more with a little bit more sort of a defensive hat on. Either that being Ozoh, obviously he can do his forward stuff as well, but Lewis, Travis, Ibu Adams, that's the way I see it. Where do you fall on it?
Well, I think we're kind of forced into now playing that two of Clark and Adams. Obviously with Ozoh, we don't know what the extent of his injury is. I like the fact that we've gone with a midfield too, and I wouldn't change the system too much. I think one thing has been obvious is that we've put this good run of form together, but injuries could derail it. In my opinion, you saw how we played at the start of the season when we didn't have a fully fit team, and it was a long way off how we're playing now. So injuries could really derail this run of form. But to look on the positive side, Ibu Adams, like Jamie said, has now got a chance to really stake a claim to play in that midfield too. I think it's probably benefited him a lot having that little bit of a spell on the bench with Ozoh and Clark playing the midfield, being able to read the game a little bit more from the side of the pitch and understand that he probably doesn't have to be as much of a physical presence in that midfield as what he's had to be in the last couple of seasons. He can stand off a little bit more and give himself a little bit more time on the ball. I think going forward now, it will be Ibu Adams and Bobby Clark in the middle. It will be interesting to see whether Thompson can come in and maybe try and stake a claim to playing the team. Obviously, I don't think he's fully fit just yet, is he? But it's one of them where I'll be honest, I prefer Ozoh and Clark in that midfield. I think the technical quality is levels ahead of what we've seen from Adams and Travis at the moment, being completely honest. I hope they can prove me wrong in that, but we definitely need players who are good on the ball. I don't think we need that physical presence as much in that midfield. I think this run of 5 wins has shown that we don't need to be such a physical team. We can play the ball on the floor and we can move it in 1 or 2 touch passing. So I think Ibu Adams has got a chance now. You see how we play from the sidelines. It's now his chance to get his foot on the ball and just move the ball maybe side to side a little bit more and not have to be that physical presence. He had a great game against Blackburn, but I would say now it's probably Ibu Adams and Bobby Clark in that midfield too. I really hope we don't change it too much. I think that would be real detrimental to how we perform after the international break if we started to change things drastically.
Yeah, definitely. And Jamie, Lewis Travis obviously was out for what, 6 weeks. It'll be pretty much 6 weeks, won't it, after the international break? So he'll be back in and around the squad. Do you think Eustace drops Ibu for his captain?
Yes. Yeah, I think he does. I think Lewis Travers comes back into this Derby side regardless. He was the man who, and I think we could probably have won 8 games, 10 games, and I think Lewis Travers will come back into this Derby team. He's John Eustace's guy. It's his mouth almost on the pitch. It's his leader, and I think he comes straight back in. I can actually see that happening as well. I can see him coming straight back in when he's fit and he's had a full couple of days or a week of training. He comes straight back in. Do I agree with it? Not really. However, I think if John Eustace told me to do most things at the moment and told me the reason why, I think I'd believe him and do it. So, yeah, I think we've just got to back what Eustace says, but it might stunt the growth and I guess the development of a Ozoh or a Bobby Clark. But they're not our players, are they? They're on loan. So it's a real conundrum. I personally wouldn't do it, but I do think he comes straight back in.
Speaking of growth, Jamie, if John Eustace told you to shave that moustache off, would you?
I'd have to have a word with Adam. We'd have a little meeting. It would probably last a couple of hours, and then we'd get to a decision. But yeah, depends what Adam says. I do what John Eustace says, but then I also do what Adam says as well. So.
That's not a captain's mindset, that, Adam. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all. Adam, we have to talk about some of Derby's attackers. We've mentioned him already. Obviously, Callum Morris, really good header. Patrick Adjaman, really good header. You look at the two of them. Morris is on 10 goals for the season now. That is equal to Jerry Yates over the entirety of last season. Again, we've said before, feel sorry for the bloke. It's not all Jerry Yates' fault, trust me. And Patrick Adjaman is up to 5G/A, which is everyone's favourite stat nowadays, with 2 goals, 3 assists. They look dangerous at the minute, don't they? It's not just the fact that they're scoring goals or setting goals up. The chaos that Adjaman causes down that left-hand side, sometimes in both directions. I don't think he even knows what he's doing himself some of the time. But we look so dangerous going forward. I mean, when was the last time Derby had a set of attackers? Obviously, Diaz is there as well. But Derby had a set of attackers that were, doing so much damage going forwards.
I think it's a long time. I think it's a long time since we've had a player like Adjaman, who is, I think, exciting is the best word to describe it in terms of it's so unpredictable what he's going to do next in a very good way, in the fact that his ability on the ball is very good. He can dribble with it as well, which makes him a very exciting, unpredictable player. And it's exciting for the crowd to watch that. And I think he's had a good return so far. He's going to keep growing into games. He's definitely not the end product of how good we know he can be, but he's looked very exciting so far, and that's a real positive. I think Callum Morris as well. We all knew how good he could be, but it was the fact that we had to get him the service. And I think now we're starting to do that. At the start of the season, he was living off scraps, maybe 1 chance a game, probably. I think that was the stat, that we'd have 1 shot on target most games, and Morris managed to pull us out with a point. But now he's getting that service. It looks like he's finishing his chances. I think Sheffield United was the epitome of that. 3 different types of goals, obviously 2 set pieces, but a really good finish for that second one. And he's up to 10 goals now. It will be interesting to see whether he can hit that mythical 20 goal mark, and that'll put him in a real conversation for one of the best forwards we've had in a number of years, especially in the Championship, and put him in that conversation with probably Matty Vidra and Chris Martin in the Championship. But yeah, it's really exciting. It's entertaining, like Jamie said. I think there was a lot of discussion about the atmosphere at games at the start of the season, and it was sort of that chicken and egg type thing about, well, the games need to be exciting for the atmosphere to grow. But now I think you've seen that work hand in hand. It's really refreshing to see, and I think these players are only going to get better and better in this system. I think the international breaks probably come at the right time as well for us to have a little bit of a break before we've got quite a tough period, and probably where we're going to put this team to the test if we've got a fully fit starting 11 of our best players coming up against some of them teams at the top end of the division.
Yeah, and I mean, Jamie, Derby have got to be full of confidence, right, going into those games. We beat Hull, who are a side that are, absolutely flying. Blackburn had won 3 in a row. We just have a habit of beating teams when they're in a good run at the moment. My question to you is, we've seen some amazing performances recently at wing back. Callum Elder, who I thought was excellent again. I know one of you mentioned it at the start. Absolutely brilliant. Joe Ward, he's obviously not the best defender, and that's why he plays at wing back and he's not a right back, but his performance has been great as well. When we play these better teams, can we continue to cause the damage that we've caused in recent games?
I think so. I think injuries and suspensions is going to play a big part in that. But I think if we have a settled team and we have a settled way of playing, and we've got that spine, I was going to say it earlier for one of your other points, but we've got a spine now because we've got Zetterstrom. We've got a solid base of a spine in Matt Clark, Sanderson, and Langas. We had Ozoh. Hopefully, Ibu Adams can, hopefully Ibu Adams can slot in as that particular part of the spine. Then obviously got Morris up front and Ajima as well, who are in fantastic form. So yeah, why can't we? And I think the thing is now is because we've put a bit of space between us and the drop zone, we can almost go into these games with a bit of no fear. We can almost go and attack. And yeah, I don't want to get slapped 5-0 away somewhere or lose, 4-3 or something like that. I don't want that to happen. But I think that's something that we can do. We can go into these games and we can really not fear anyone. And like you said on Elder and Ward, I think testament to them, they weren't good enough for us in League One. That's what majority of people thought. They didn't really pull up any trees in League One. They've struggled with injuries. That's a worry, if I'm honest. That is a worry because if these two get injured, then who do we put in those obviously positions, especially with Johnston out? But yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic, and it allows them to go and get their head up and pick out some amazing balls. And if we can continue to keep playing that way, we are going to be problems for teams. And as we've seen, we've been able to beat some very good teams in this division. So yeah, why can't we dream? Why can't we go and try and beat the big boys? But then again, who are the big boys at the moment in this division?
We're the big boys, Jamie. Come on.
Maybe Coventry. Maybe, I don't know. I honestly, I'm getting a bit carried away with it. I genuinely do think that we can give anyone a really good game at the moment. And a month ago, 2 months ago, I was getting ready for the League One tour again. Proper crest of the wave stuff at the moment.
I was going to say, it's amazing the delusion a few wins in a row can give you, isn't it? After the start that we had, what was it? 1 win in 7, 1 win in 8 or something like that in the league, only to go on and win 5 in a row. It's ridiculous how high up in the league we are. We're 5-6 points off automatics. How have we ended up where we are at the moment? We do have to talk about some of the negatives of the game. And some of the negatives is the entire second half, because, oh my God, it was painful. Like, genuine pain watching that second half. I don't really know why we set up like we did. I don't know if it was just tiredness. I think we saw it against Hull, didn't we? We were getting tired. I don't think Eustace made his changes early enough. I think he was a little bit reactive to the goal rather than being proactive and making the changes. When Brereton Diaz, he looked like he was running through concrete, and Ajimang was struggling a little bit as well. Adam, was that a little bit of a concern for you, the fact that we came out after half-time and went, we'll just defend now? Well, there's no point doing anything else. They won't break us down.
A little bit. I think we've seen us do that before under John Eustace. We've seen us sit back in games when we've been winning. I think I look back to the opening game of the season against Stoke. I think we did that as soon as we went 1-0 up. We tried to sit on it and that didn't work. But we've definitely been able to solidify that back line a lot more. Obviously, coincidentally, Sondre Langas has come into the team and it looks a lot more stable than that. But yeah, a little bit of a worry. We didn't really test the Blackburn Rovers goalkeeper at all in the second half, until Salverson got that one-on-one opportunity in like the 94th minute or whatever it was. But yeah, it wasn't the best watch in the second half. Blackburn, thankfully, didn't really have any cutting edge about them until Sanderson gave away the maybe or maybe not penalty that was given. But yeah, it wasn't the best watch, not the most entertaining. A big contrast from that first half where we looked to play with confidence. We started to give the ball away a lot more easily. And like you said, probably the substitutions came a little bit too late, especially when we've got a game plan with our substitutions. We know when Vyman comes on, he can get a foot on the ball and play a 1 or 2 touch pass, which gets us up the pitch quite quickly. We've got Salverson, who's willing to run his legs off, and that's how we got the goal against Hull. We've also got Corey Blackett-Taylor, who's probably desperate to get on the pitch and have an opportunity to showcase what he can do again. So yeah, a bit disappointing not to bring the subs on sooner. And probably let off a little bit in the fact that Blackburn Rovers weren't that good in that game, to be quite honest, in the fact that they didn't cause us any real problems in terms of shots or opportunities on goal. But why shouldn't the luck go with us? I think we've had it go against us a couple of times this season so far and in previous. So just got to ride the crest of confidence and, just make sure that we don't sit on a lead like that again from the 45th minute, probably more around the 80th minute. I wouldn't mind that. But probably not the best way to go about trying to see out that game in the second half. But then again, Blackburn Rovers didn't really cause us any major problems, did they?
No, they didn't, and we caused our own problems, didn't we, Jamie? The penalty. I mean, I think it is a pen. I've watched it back a few times. I don't think he gets the ball. It's a bit of a silly challenge by Dion Sanderson. But apart from that, Derby weren't really challenged, were they?
Not really. No, we had to give them an opportunity to get back into the game. And we did that. Like you say, very uncharacteristic for Sanderson based upon the last kind of, I guess, month or so. Just had to shepherd him and just make sure he couldn't get a shot in. And 9 times out of 10, even if you get a shot in from there, I think Zetterstrom makes a save. So yeah, it was our own kind of undoing. And yeah, there were a few hairy moments, but I honestly thought we felt quite comfortable because we've got height at the back. So anything that was launched in from a throw or a corner, I think we were dealing with really well. Morris actually was getting his head on absolutely everything. So it's I think it was a really good defensive performance in the end. We've lost Jake for just a second, so Adam, I'll play host for just a second. How important is it, I guess, that you've got players like Morris that when the chips are down, he can do it in both boxes?
Yeah, massive. I think, I mentioned about that physical presence that we have in the final third when we're attacking, but it's important also defensively that we're able to defend those set pieces and balls into the box when we're under heavy pressure. I wouldn't say we're under heavy pressure against Blackburn. I just feel like we didn't retain the ball as much as what we should have, and that comes with tiredness and also not bringing on fresh legs and players with that technical ability. But it's really important to have players like Morris, like Adjumang as well, who were good in the air as well, and even Salverson coming off the bench as well, he can do that job. We saw, obviously, we brought on Danny Bart, who probably hasn't featured in quite a while. I don't remember the last time I saw Danny Bart play a number of minutes, but yeah, I thought Morris did well. I think he's a leader, isn't he? We've seen him have that captain's armband over the last couple of matches, and he leads across the pitch, not just from the forward line, but throughout the team. I think we've got a couple of them on the pitch at the minute, a couple of big players on the pitch for us. Sondre Langas seems to be very vocal, and it will be interesting to see how much of an impact Travis can have, like Jay mentioned, when he comes back from injury after the international break, as he is the captain of the team. He obviously plays a big vocal part when he's in that midfield, organising the shape, and I think he did that before his injury. But it's nice that we've got a number of players now who are big leaders on the pitch.
And you were obviously there yesterday, so tell us about the scenes at full time. The final whistle goes. I was watching on Sky, and if you didn't know, it was Jeff Hendrick, Dwight Gale, Curtis Davis in the studio. So it was very, very Derby heavy. And as it happens, they were obviously, the scenes were there at full time, and they went back to the studio. And I think all of the ex-Derby players had their comment on the game. And yeah, it looked like really good scenes at the end there. Adam, what was the stands like?
Yeah, it was nice. I think it was a joyous atmosphere, and one that I think was needed. At the first 10 games or so, first 8 to 10 games or so, it probably wasn't the best at the end of games or throughout them. Like I said, in terms of atmospheres, I think it was pretty flat for most parts of the away games at the start of the season, because the games didn't really have much to shout about. We either didn't have much of the ball, or we were living off 1 or 2 chances in the games, and that was at home as well as away. So it was nice to be able to enjoy that 5 wins in a row at the end of the game against Blackburn. I think there was an added bit of spice to the game with, obviously, John Eustace coming up against his former employers, who obviously he joined us for, and it was their 150th anniversary game. They came into it in the second half a little bit better, got the goal back. So I think it was nice, a bit of relief. I genuinely thought at the end Salverson was going to score, but with him and Brewster running, and Salverson probably was a little bit too nice at that opportunity and wanted to try and lay it off to Brewster, but I think he kind of got caught in two minds there really with it and didn't really have any conviction with his opportunity, but that would have made it 2 goals in 2 games for him, which would have been nice. But no, it was a nice atmosphere, and I think it gave us a little bit more confidence at the end of that game that we can extend this unbeaten run, shall we call it, in after the international break. And it's a big difference to what we saw at the start of the season. I think we're just going to keep growing into games, and you can see on each game we're just getting better and better, and it feels like we really are back in the Championship this season, back in the Championship as a decent Championship team.
Hello, I'm back again. I had a delivery man shouting at me over the phone. I could see it when we were talking. I had to run downstairs and grab some stuff. So thankfully, I'm here. I hope I haven't missed anything too exciting.
We just sat in silence for about 5 minutes. So,
that's
yeah,
good content.
Yeah.
That is pretty good. That's pretty good. One thing I did want to touch on, and I'm sorry if you guys have already talked about it, that last minute of the game. I honestly, I put on Twitter yesterday, I genuinely think that's taken years off my life. Zetterstrom, whose distribution has been phenomenal this past few weeks, suddenly decides, no, I don't want to do good things anymore. Absolutely cannons. I mean, he hit it like a shot. It falls to the Blackburn striker who, when he came on, the guy behind me was like, "Oh, he's awful, he is." And suddenly he's bearing down on goal. I'm like, "Don't let him score now. Don't let him score now." Runs through, ends up trying to beat about 12 players, ends up getting crowded out. I saw some Blackburn fans saying it was a penalty, or should have been a penalty, which made me laugh quite a lot. And we hit them on the break. And suddenly Salverson's through, and Derby are through on goal, and Salverson, he's got Rhea Brewster screaming out to us, right, please pass to me. I am begging you, please pass to me. And Salverson takes a look, goes, nah, I don't fancy it, lifts it over the keeper, and just doesn't get enough on it. I mean, Adam, chaos, wasn't it? Absolute chaos to finish the game.
Yeah, I thought after Zetterstrom had kicked it, I thought, well, that's typical Derby that we're going to give this away right in the last minute, and Blackburn are going to equalise. But then when the ball was played forward and I could see Salverson running with it and Brewster calling for it, and Salverson gave him that look, and I thought, oh, he's being too nice here. He's going to try and square it. But the square ball wasn't on. It wasn't on in any scenario, as Salverson was about 5 yards in front of Brewster. And I just felt like he just got stuck in two minds and just decided just to do the opposite of either of the two things and just chip it pretty softly over the goalkeeper. And I felt a bit sorry for him. I thought he would have had his second goal in 2 games, and that would have been quite a nice end and a bit of relief to that second half. But no, puzzling, but definitely not boring at all.
No, it certainly wasn't. To be fair, Jamie, I know Adam said it wasn't on. I thought it was on. I thought it really was on for Brewster to run onto and pass into that empty net. I don't know. What do you think?
I think he made up quite a lot of ground, and I imagine he was begging for the ball, and that's probably why Salverson did what he did with that finish. I think it potentially might have just trickled in if the defender hadn't got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we've all been in those situations where you've almost got too much time, and you've got to make a decision. You've got obviously keeper coming to close down the angle. You've got a teammate, and if he does play it to the side of him and he gets too much on it, and it goes wide or whatever that might be, that's potentially going to look even worse. So as a striker, I think you've got to try and score. And yeah, thankfully they didn't get a chance really to go up the other end, because I thought when that happened, blimey, if there's a long ball now, then I probably will be in the same camp as you, Jake. And yeah, I can't get any older. I'm looking my age at the moment, especially with this tash. So yeah, I can't really afford that.
I tell you what, Jamie, we had Ivan on the other day, and he brought up the guy.
Tash.
Yeah, that is a tash. That is, and we were talking about the guy that's not shaved his hair in like ages, the Man United fan.
Yeah.
And he said he wouldn't do it unless Man United won 5 games in a row. Now, Jamie, I think personally you should be nominated from a Derby perspective. Now we've won 5 games in a row, you're gonna have to shave your head. Is that all right?
I mean, it's probably doing everyone a favour, family and friends.
Chloe.
Yeah, I am hanging on. I am hanging on, but you got to do it. It was my hair is like Derby County in the 89th minute yesterday. It's hanging on, and maybe I'll get a year or two out of it. I tell you what, if we do another 5, if we do
Another 5,
if we get to 10, then I will do a stream and I'll let you shave my hair, Jake. How about that?
Wow, that would be good. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm not shaving mine. Adam's not removing his mullet, and Callum, he's got too many bowls in his house which he cuts his hair around that he, he's not getting rid of that anytime soon. So you'd have to be the man. Oh man! So let's look ahead to Derby's upcoming fixture. I say upcoming; it's ages away, isn't it? But Watford at home now. Like we mentioned earlier, Lewis Travis should be back in and around the squad. We're obviously not sure on Ozoh. Watford, they've had a pretty good season so far, haven't they? I've been actually pretty surprised with how good they've been, although they have drawn their last 2 games. I didn't realise they beat Middlesbrough 3-0 as well. God. I suppose, yeah, they were in the midst of getting rid of a manager at the time. But Adam, how confident are you feeling?
I'm a bit unsure because it will be after the international break. The momentum will have relaxed a little bit, and I think it will be a pretty clean slate for both teams to go into the game. I'm more confident with obviously the run of form that I've got on the fact that we know which system clicks and which works for Derby. Watford being a decent team, but I definitely feel optimistic with us being at home. I feel a lot more optimistic. I think that Watford and Swansea game the opportunity for another 1 or 2 wins, and then we've got a very difficult run of about 6 games after that. We've got to play some of the top 6, some local games where there'll be some big atmospheres. So that December time is very difficult for us. So if we can get through this November, play Swansea and Watford, and hopefully pick up another win or 2, then yeah, I'll be pretty happy with that. But I've got a good feeling we can extend that unbeaten run.
Yeah, that would certainly be nice. Jamie, how confident are you feeling?
Yeah, fairly confident. I think maybe a winning run turns into an unbeaten run. I mean, I take a draw. I mean, I take a draw probably in every game, to be quite honest. But it's one of those
again, Adam. You see what we're dealing with here? It's shocking.
For me, look, I said at the start of the season, if we can finish mid-table this season, I'll be absolutely over the moon. So I'm not going to get too carried away. But yeah, I think they're a good side, and they'll come and have a go, and we'll have to be at our best to get all 3 points or to even get a point. But yeah, like I said before, why can't we dream? Why can't we go into these games full of confidence? The Derby fans will be there in full voice. We'll get it loud and proud inside Pride Park, and yeah, I think we've got a chance. I think we've got a real chance, and the more that points that we can put together, the turn of the year, who knows if we're 3 points off the playoffs, if we're 3 points inside the playoffs, who knows? It's honestly really, really exciting at the moment.
Yeah, maybe we should just expect promotion at this point. If we take the last 5 games, we'll win every game for the rest of the season. So, it should be as easy as that. One thing we haven't mentioned is Owen Beck as well, who should actually be back after this international break. I actually still doubt if he's real. I don't think he's actually a real person.
He's mythical.
He's mythical, exactly, and yeah, hopefully he'll be back in and around the squad, which would be very good news for us. Callum Elder called up for Australia as well, which is great news. So we've got quite a few players to keep a lookout on. Sondre Langus obviously called up for Norway because they want the best defender and best player in the world playing for them. I saw Haaland scored today. He's probably been watching Langus as defending. Similar sort of header. Who else we got? Zetterstrom called up for Sweden. Hopefully he gets some minutes as well. Ebu Adams called up for the Gambia as well. We've got quite a few internationals, haven't we? At the moment, which is nice. So plenty to keep our eyes on over the international break. We'll see if we do an episode next week. We know how it all is. One thing I did want to touch on was how much of a shambles yesterday was at Blackburn. We were talking about it in the chat earlier. I don't know if anyone caught all the stuff with the minute silence and the last post and everything. And they had the minute silence, and then the ref blew the whistle, and everyone was like, "Come on!" And all the Blackburn players started running towards their goal. The Derby players started running towards their goal. The Derby fans did the usual Derby, 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 and then suddenly we realised they're actually playing the last post, and we still need to be quiet again. It was such a mess. And then they pretty much locked us in at the end of the game, which was good fun. But Adam, bit of a shambles, wasn't it? The Blackburn was a bit of a shambles all over.
Yeah, I saw some Blackburn fans say they didn't really enjoy their 150th anniversary game. I forgot they were playing a game against Old Etonians after, so it was a double-headed day with 2 games of football to be played. And I think they also mentioned they were meant to be bringing out a 150th anniversary kit at some point. Whether
I saw it, yeah,
during our game or after, but I don't think they did in the end. And it was also a bit disappointing not to be given the full away end ticket allocation.
Yeah, that
I think
was pathetic.
Obviously a big thing was made about it, but props to Blackburn for the prices. That is the cheapest we'll ever pay, I think, in the Championship, unless somebody offers it for £1 or free. But yeah, I think it would have looked a little bit better if we'd have had that full away end, at least the bottom half anyway. Because on the pictures it looks a bit rubbish with sort of a half of the bottom tier.
You got your half, and then you've got like a strip. I don't even know who they were supporting. Were they us? I've no idea. And then they had that upper tier on the other side where they had like 2 strips of people, which is like 3 or 4 seats down, and the rest of the stand was empty. It was bizarre. But I saw some Blackburn fans saying, that's the fullest it's been in a long time. So I do genuinely hope for their sake they can turn it around and get some better owners, because we know how bad it is when your owners aren't great, don't we? But thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you to Aldi in the comments, who has basically done my job for me. Because if you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe. Please do give us a rating of 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Pods. If you're ever around on a Sunday evening, get in the comments. It's great. I always enjoy reading the chats that we have, and sometimes it steers us in directions we don't think we're going to go in. So it's really interesting for us to be a part of, and we hope it is for you guys too. 5 wins in a row. How about that? I mean, I didn't think it would happen again for a long time. I mean, we did it in League One, but that's because all the teams are rubbish. So to do it in the Championship is really, really special as well. So thank you so much. It is a big goodbye from me.
Thanks for listening, everyone. 5 in a row. Hopefully we can make it a few more. Goodbye from me.
10 in a row coming up. Aboard Jamie Page doing God's work. It's goodbye from me.
If that hair goes and the moustache stays, mate, the local schools are not going to like you. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you very soon. Goodbye.